I saw that. I was watching The Bulwark, and the title of the video was like the Marjorie Taylor Greene, Laura Loomer, Arby scandal that nobody wanted.
What is this?
This is a 100% legit
This
deposition.
is real life.
This is insane.
All right. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Fake Philosophers. As always, Danny is with me today, and for the first time, a lady on the show, our friend Lauren, sometimes goes by
Hello.
Mary. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a Fake Philosophers first.
We're very forward thinking here.
Very.
Very woke. Very
Progressive.
woke.
After how many years has this podcast been
When did we start doing
podcasting?
this? 3 years?
I don't know.
3 years?
3 years? Yeah, 3 years.
Three? That sounds right. 22?
Yeah.
22.
No, this is your 19th Amendment. This day, right now.
Yeah.
On the 18th, yes. All right. So some stuff's been going on. To quote Jimmy Carr, the guy who used to do The Apprentice is now on a new show called The News. And so we're going to talk some current events. We have Lauren joined us to record a dramatized reading of a recently leaked transcript from a deposition, and that'll play later. Yeah, so where should we start, guys? Who has any passionate opinions about anything going on? I know it's not emotional stirring at all.
Yeah, I mean, no trigger warnings or anything, right?
Yeah, no.
I'm a little I'm worried about being too outraged and getting distracted from other things. However, I am not a fan of PBS, the threat of PBS being replaced by PragerU videos. As a mother of a 4-year-old, that is it's concerning.
I would agree with that.
All right. No pushback at all?
No, I think what's so there's two kind of ways I think, and this goes for a lot of things like that to look at that particular issue is one, just the content of it, of knowing what PBS puts out and then what PragerU will probably put out, just the difference in content and what's good and bad, subjectively, technically, and actually just pragmatically. I don't have the numbers on me, but I remember reading like the money that's spent for PBS, like in a pie chart of the U.S. budget, is so low that pragmatically cutting it really doesn't even help. Like, doesn't really have any financial benefit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So cutting that, no, like we're saving so much money by cutting the funding to PBS, and because it's woke, but like just the funding aspect of it doesn't pragmatically make sense. And then the actual content of PBS is very apolitical. So to replace it with PragerU is kind of the opposite of what they're claiming to do.
Yeah, I think that's the point. That's the thing. There is no logicking it. There's no logicking back with what some of these moves are intended to do in terms of budget cuts and stuff like that. And their claim that NPR and PBS put out left biased media. I'm not really sure how PBS is included in that. I mean, I can guess, but I don't really know how directly PBS is included in that. However, just the idea that their claim is that PBS and NPR is putting out left leaning media, and we don't want our taxpayers to pay for that. So the answer is to put out right leaning media. We all see like the double standard here, but it also just feels, yeah, I get they don't care. They absolutely don't care. The reason why they took NPR and PBS funding out of the government budget is not because it is purely because they want to drive a different narrative and a different sort of education and a different sort of understanding of American history. That's really what it is. And it's nefarious to go after like the hearts and minds of children. So nefarious. But
I'll answer one of your questions. Yeah, so it's anything that they don't like is left leaning. There's nothing political about PBS. It's just I've seen people anecdotally when you just quote Trump and they'll say that's left leaning bias, and it's
Yeah.
like I literally just quoted what he said. That's it.
Hmm.
But it's like that's left leaning bias. So PBS just trying to encourage love and empathy and kindness. That's left. That's leftist. That's
Hmm.
bullshit. Um, and so there's that, and yeah, and kind of to go into this, and Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know like all of our political opinions have changed over the years, but I feel like
Hmm.
you and I are kind of in the same boat, to where I grew up center right.
Hmm.
I believe you did too in our past
Hmm.
conversations we've had.
Hmm.
I think Danny's family is also very right of center. I'm not sure, Danny. We didn't know each other in high school, um,
I grew
but
up like
growing up,
classically conservative, like Bush and Reagan and stuff like that.
same
And then
actually,
when
same. Yeah,
Trump
Yeah.
like entered the picture and just skewed everything off for
yeah.
everybody.
You beat me to it. I was gonna say
Mm.
coming out of high school and going to college, once I started getting into philosophy and stuff, I did move more center, possibly center lefty. Um, but I did consider myself like I think we've joked around before, Danny. Like I still held on to the Republican roots. Like
Mhm.
my dad is a classic Republican in the way, like just as an example, he looked at things. If you asked him like about gay marriage, I've said this before. Like my dad was a great man. He was mildly homophobic, but if you asked him about gay marriage, his classic Republican response was like, "Does it affect me? No. Then I don't give a fuck."
Mm-hmm.
Being mildly homophobic, that was his response. Like he's like, "I don't give a shit." Um,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of what I grew up in. Granted, my opinions about gay marriage are different, but and then yeah, when the party started going towards Trump, I kind of was like, oh, am I leftist now, or am I just not that?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of granted. I wasn't really like I kind of just went independent after I graduated high school and for reasons and. But yeah, I know you're kind of to my right probably, but I feel like you are on the same page where it's like, yeah, you're on my right, but like, how far right is that? Because the Overton window in the United States is already skewed way to the right. So on
Mm-hmm.
the global scale, we're all probably on the right. In America, because we don't agree with Trump, we're called leftists. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Going
Yeah.
back to what we were saying about PBS specifically, yeah, like these nice things, we don't like that, so they're leftists and they're socialists. So we're gonna put PragerU in because, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
they don't give a fuck about irony or shame. Um, and if you've seen interviews with Prager himself, like that guy's kind of a lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so it's very interesting to
Yeah.
say the least.
I hope I didn't skew your podcast too much.
Oh
I mean, I
no.
could talk all day. In fact, it could just
No,
be me. You guys can leave, but no, I'm just kidding.
take a break, come back.
But
We'll leave our own podcast. Yeah, that's
yeah.
So,
I
Danny,
want to hear.
what's
Danny's
your
an
opinion?
educator. I want to hear.
Oh yeah. I mean,
From your point of view, from the education point of view.
yeah, so yeah, I mean that's kind of the issue, right? PBS is educational. And uh this MAGA movement has a real big problem with education. Especially when it comes to things like the truth about history, or what they would call revisionist history. Um, and I'll give you a really good example. Have you guys have heard of the Tulsa Massacre? Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Did they teach us the Tulsa Massacre in when we were in high school?
Here's the thing. They might have.
I
I
don't
don't want to
remember.
but I don't remember. It wasn't that big. It wasn't
I'll tell
like
you.
it
I'll tell you
doesn't
right now.
stick here. You know what I mean? Like they
Hmm.
might have mentioned it. Oh,
I'll tell you right now. They did not.
okay.
I actually did not learn about the Tulsa Massacre until I started teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what is this? And why have I never heard of this?
Yeah.
And it was like I literally learned about it, and then I watched the HBO series The Watchmen, and they had a reference to it. Like a whole episode was devoted to the Tulsa Massacre, and I was like, holy shit, did this actually happen?
Yeah.
And yes, it did. It actually happened. But and like it has been covered up for almost it was covered up for almost like 100 years, and like wasn't until like 2013 2014 that they started putting it back in history books.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is indicative of a bigger problem in education.
Mm-hmm.
One that I think the MAGA movement and this new conservatism is trying to kind of roll out. They're trying to, again, take everything back, make America great again by covering up those parts of history and glorifying other parts of history. And it's like, no, let's just teach history, teach it all.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you suppress anything, you leave the door open for those things to happen again.
Right. I think, and it's crazy because at Tulsa, there's so many more instances, like hundreds, and like so many communities of Black Americans who fought really hard to make a to build up their livelihoods, post Civil War and post emancipation and all of that, and there's so many more than it's. I've been reading the Anti-Greed Gospel, and it's also just really eye-opening. But to that point, yeah, I mean PBS. I mean, so many of its roots in, if you look all the way back to Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street. Sesame Street is a really good example because Sesame Street was actually created specifically for urban children, specifically Black children, and that's why most of the human characters in the 60s were Black, because they were trying to address an education disparity gap with kids who were entering kindergarten, because a lot of urban children of color, their parents were working, they had to put their kid in front of the TV a lot, and they were noticing a big gap in their education, et cetera, et cetera. I'm oversimplifying it, but that
makes sense why like Sesame Street, all the puppets were like colored too.
I'm gonna move on. So
come on. Go on. Sorry, you were making a good point.
But you know what's interesting is actually the South, at least I think it was Alabama.
Surprise!
No, or I think it was Alabama or Georgia. One of those. I feel so bad. I feel like I always generalize the South very much, and that's probably not fair. However, there were a couple states in the South that would not allow Sesame Street to air because they didn't like the idea that Black and white and brown people could live in the same street, could go to the same shops together, could interact with each other and that sort of thing, because there was also interracial children as well, as including the adult cast. And so I mean, technically that Sesame Street, its roots are in serving underprivileged children of color, and that just, it generally seems like something that this administration specifically just like is so strangely adverse to. So I feel like we also need to just like maybe like distinguish classical conservatives from like Trump conservatives. Does that make sense? Like when we're talking
100%.
maybe
100%.
because it's just like I don't see any classical conservatives having an issue with this. Not people. I have a lot of family and friends who are there still. I would probably consider myself more left of center now, liberal, but yeah, it's such a weird, strange reaction that it feels like it's out of nowhere for us, maybe because we're in a California bubble. Maybe we just, I don't know, maybe we weren't paying attention. I don't know to.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to understand the approach that a lot of these people are taking, because I agree. I do try my best to differentiate classical Republicans versus MAGA Republicans. Mm-hmm. Although it's tough now, especially in leadership, because a lot of them just kind of fall in line because they want to keep their careers. So it sucks because like this was a recent conversation I had. Someone was talking like, oh, you say you're a centrist, so do you criticize Democrats? And I was like, yeah, 100%. And he's like, but there's Democrats you like. I was like, yeah, and I could differentiate them and criticize this Democrat or this Democrat. And they're like, can you say the same about Republicans? And I was like, I can't. And I'm talking about just the leadership, not like, boots on the ground. Our boy Mitch is a Republican, but like he's different. The leadership. Because I'm like, okay, so I don't like Trump and I don't like his approach. And I don't like a lot of his policies. Forget his personality for a second. But if I look at the party and the leadership, everyone just toes that line. So I can't individualize them and critique them differently if they're all just towing the same line of a guy I don't agree with. So I can't really judge the Republican Party like I do the Democrats, because they are all just kind of the fucking same right now. Mm-hmm. And so they're all just towing this line. But going back to what we're talking about with like the culture of like PBS and Sesame Street and all that shit, there is this weird insecurity. And coming from three white people, it's kind of weird that we're talking about it, but it's kind of white fragility.
Mostly
Because it is
white.
mostly touche. Okay, two and a half, or two and three quarters, whatever your number is.
Yeah.
Um, um, I probably count as one and a half myself. I'm very white, so we'll call it three, just across the board. Um, but the white kind of fragility aspect of it, to where it's like, not to change subjects, but like Black Lives Matter. No, all lives matter. No one said they didn't. We just talked about Black lives, but there's like a fragility of like, oh, but it's not about me. And I feel like there's some of that going on, to where when you kind of do things that are supposed to appeal to a vast majority of people, you feel a certain way about it. For instance, I had an adverse opinion about affirmative action, because the way it was explained to me is, if you're black or a person of color, you have priority over a white person. And as a white person, I didn't like that shit. I think justifiably so. Hold on, Danny, I'm getting that. I see you're thinking.
Okay. No,
Or you were just yawning, but it felt like you were about to say something.
I was about to say something.
Yeah, but as the years went on and my education developed and evolved, we talk about DEI now, and my understanding is very different. DEI, it's not even a liberal idea. DEI is simply saying, instead of taking 10 applications from 10 white people, you're going to take 20 applications from people of all races. That's all it is. People are not getting hired who are not qualified. People aren't getting hired because they're black or whatever. It's simply saying, instead of taking only white applicants, you take applicants of all kinds to get the best result. But that's been weaponized now, because white people are like, what about, like, we're getting oppressed because we're white? And it's like, no, it's just a higher competition.
Yeah.
But they turn it into this thing of like, it's anti-white, it's anti-us. And people go for it, because unfortunately, Danny knows I've harped on this. I know, Lauren, you've watched some episodes in the past, but there is a critical thinking crisis in this country, where people don't know how to take information and really break it down, analyze it, and understand it. Because it takes 30 seconds of just decent critical thinking to break down the idea that DEI is racist against white people.
Hence why we need PBS and NPR.
And we're back. Hey, we did the weave, guys. We got back to it.
We did the weave. We did the weave. A great allegory on Trump right now, especially regarding the jobs reports, and then I'll let you guys jump in on this. I'm just going to keep it as anonymous as possible. A person I know has a child with a guy, and they got divorced. Okay. This is actually a true story, keeping it anonymous. The kid, obviously, was a rough divorce, really bad divorce. The kid was paying for it. And so I think the kid was like 6 or 7. He was in kindergarten or first, second grade. I forgot. It was in elementary school. And they started, the teacher recommended him seeing a therapist, a counselor, to talk about his issues with his mom and dad. Both parents said, okay. It didn't cost them any money. It was like in the school, cool. After a few weeks of going to this counselor, CPS was called, and they did a wellness check on the father's house. The next week, the father revoked his permission, and the kid was no longer allowed to see the counselor.
Cool.
There's an allegory to that recently, with Trump getting bad jobs numbers and firing the person who heads up that department. I'm going to let one of you guys take over. I'm just going to lay that out there, the allegory, and what's going on.
I mean, it reminds me of a story Matt Damon once told about Tom Cruise. Okay. And he was asking Tom Cruise, "Hey man, how is it that at your age you're able to do all these stunts?" And Tom Cruise goes, "Well, I get the idea." And I'm like, "Man, I really want to do that." I talked to the producer. The producer says, "All right, talk to the stunt coordinator." I talked to the stunt coordinator. The stunt coordinator says, "There's no way you can do that." So I thought about it, and I fired the stunt coordinator, and I got a new stunt coordinator, and he said it was good to go. I mean, it's like literally what the same thing.
It's just classic. It's classic. You only surround yourself with the people who are going to tell you what you want to hear. You don't want iron. You're 100% against the iron sharpens iron thing. You just want yes men. That's all it is. You want yes men. You want people who will it's maybe it's a bit of a Theoden worm tongue thing. Although Theoden is a bit more of a victim. But he also let his guard down. It's also, yeah, it's so obvious. I don't even know what else to say. It's just he's like a giant 14-year-old.
Oh, I think giving him too much credit. I was
Yeah.
gonna say like 10, 11-year-old.
I feel like
There's
10,
definitely
11
some
year olds have
prepubescent
yeah.
energy there.
It's just
Yeah.
it's the craziest thing. And also, you can also look back at like the Romanovs,
Hmm.
they very much were you ever watched the Last Czars, that show? It's a really, it's a very captivating look at the Romanovs and how they could have just not paid attention and missed the suffering of their people, and how their opulent wealth was just garish in everybody's eyes, and but they often were told that people were fine, or that they, or whatever. I don't know what
I
else to
want to say
say.
one of like Catherine's last great that was her name, right? Catherine?
Hmm.
Yeah. She was like, "Oh, look, they love us."
Hmm.
And like, no, that they're not cheering, they're saying boo.
Yeah.
Um
There's a clear distinction here. Well, I think what's kind of frustrating, and granted it's been like a month now, but like the whole Epstein file thing, um, it's interesting to me because like it's it's one of those things like when you were a kid, right? Let's say we're all kids, and I'm like, hey Danny, do you like Lauren? And you're like, I'm not gonna tell you. I'd be like, so you like her? And you're like, I didn't say. I'm just not gonna tell you. I'm like, all right, well, you can just say no, and the conversation will be over. But you're like, no, I'm not. I didn't say that. It's like with the Epstein thing. It's like just release it then.
Hmm.
Like y'all ran on this shit. Release it. Like, and even if they released it and it turns out Donald Trump wasn't even a part of that whole thing, fine. But just release it. Why can't you release it?
because they're
Yeah.
not done editing it yet. They got to
Right.
finish, taking out information.
And what I
Yeah.
liked about this, and nobody's talked about this in the podcast I listened to, nobody's mentioned this. So Dan Bongino, right, who made a fucking grifting career off of the Epstein files on his podcast, he's like one of his depositions or some he's being questioned by a committee, I don't forget who it was. He says like, now that I work for the government and I'm being paid by the taxpayer, I have to go by the facts and say what's true. And I was like, you just fucking admitted you're lying on your podcast when you raised all this money. And no one's talking about that quote. They're talking about all these
Mm.
other quotes about when he talks about the Epstein list. But like
Yeah.
no one is covering this committee hearing or whatever he was doing when he says, now that I'm being paid by the taxpayers, I have an obligation to tell the truth. I'm like, you piece of shit. So you're
Hmm.
admitting that you had this career based off of lies. If they're lies, like that, it's just like, but no one's looking at it. It's like,
Yeah. That's the thing. Your obligation to the truth should be forever, and in anything you do. I mean, you can dial that back all the way down to just individual, moral choices, but the truth, no matter what, should be everybody's baseline. It should be 100% of ours. Like it should be educators and TV personalities and world leaders and stay-at-home parents. I mean, if that's it, that's the thing is like the truth. Like if the truth isn't of the utmost importance to people, then that's where like things go so wonky. From like the bottom up. Just the fact that like the truth wasn't as important to him when he was a podcaster, but now it's important because taxpayers are paying him.
and he said
Um,
it out loud,
mhm, mhm,
and nobody gives a fuck. One
yeah,
one thing I'll say, just on the aspect of truth is, Danny, I think you do. Lauren, do you watch John Oliver?
sometimes a
I
lot
love
more
John
in
Oliver.
2020 and 2021, but
Sure.
not as much now.
But so recently, sometime in the last few months, he was interviewed by somebody, and she was talking about his research process in his show and et cetera, et cetera. And coming from him, I actually I will say I trust what he puts on a show because he said he's like my jokes don't work unless the facts we're presenting are true.
Mhm.
And he was making a point about how his crew fact checks all their stories because he said he's like as a comedian the jokes only work if it's true. I trust that coming from a
Mhm.
comedian
Mhm.
more than any of these motherfuckers in office.
Yeah.
So I trust what's on his show. Uh, but yeah, so going back to it though, it's just kind of like the thesis of Trump. If someone accused me of molesting a child, or Lauren, hypothetically, you're like, when we were both 19, you raped me, and there's proof, and I allegedly had the proof, I'd be like, here it is,
Mhm.
because I didn't do shit.
Mhm.
I don't think I raped you. No.
No.
Good. I want to make sure that fact is correct. But
It's a
but
hell
my
of a place
point,
to do your checking.
Yeah.
hey, I'm out in the open. I'm transparent. I'm transparent. But no, but the point being, like, if it's one of those things, like, if you are truly innocent and there's nothing to see here, put it out there. But instead, what he's doing, and this kind of goes back to what Lauren was saying about truth and all this other stuff, is he's laying the foundations of what's in the Epstein files is not trustworthy and it's not credible and you shouldn't believe it by saying these things like the Democrats fucked with it, Obama fucked with it, Comey fucked with it. That he's laying the foundations, just like he did in the 2020 election, so that people, when it's finally released, won't even believe it.
Mhm.
Which is kind of smart because it's going to work. Not for us, but for his people, it's going to work.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway,
I know.
That's if it ever gets
Any opinions?
released.
It's scream worthy sometimes. It's so, so, so tough. But this is what happens when our truth is at the whim of power and charisma. You know what I mean? If we don't have our truth founded, you guys know I'm a religious person. But I'm not trying to convert y'all at all. But whatever you've decided that your truth is founded on something or has like this solid, that's outside of someone's personality, someone's political party, someone's tribalism, whatever, then you're able to weather these kinds of strange times and you're able to sidestep and say, hey, this person I thought I liked or I thought I supported is doing something wrong or untruthful. Because I'm holding to the truth more than this person, I'm gonna change my mind about this person. I'm gonna change, you know what I mean? Like that's the whole, that's why, you know, that's why education is so important. That's why, um, all this stuff starts when we're very young and our ideas of what is truthful and good and and powerful. I think that's the other thing. People are very much attracted to power. Trump has a powerful presence and I guess a charisma of some kind. I don't know, but I think people have the wrong idea of what powerful is, right? The truth, like you and I would all say, all of us here, ironically, would probably say, bringing it back to PBS, that Mr. Rogers was a powerful man, right?
Yeah.
I think we would because we view power differently, correct? We have a different idea of what powerful is. And I think that's because we view powerful as kindness, as straightforward truth, as empathy. That's powerful. But because Trump, because other people have different ideas of what power is, that's why whatever Trump does, they'll follow. And that's what's frustrating. That's why with and I know I'm making this broad, but I am bringing it back to like I want to bring it back to what you were talking about with um the jobs reports, you know what I mean? That's just one other little example of how this oligarch or this he's trying to consolidate executive power to himself and consolidate power to himself, and he's being allowed to do it because there are people out there who have been raised to enjoy this, to want that. They want it.
I agree.
I've had, there was a guy the other day, a friend, an acquaintance, I wouldn't say a friend, an acquaintance of mine who I mentioned something about how, you know, um, aren't you like as a conservative, don't you want smaller government, and And he said, and he admitted, yeah, but this is what I want. Like Trump is what I want. And I thought, you know what? I can't argue with that. You just said, you just admitted it. That's what you wanted.
If I will say this, to kind of piggyback on that and kind of go back to what you're saying about kind of the religious aspect of it. If that is what you want, like, did you guys do you watch Jubilee at all? The Jubilee videos? No? Okay. It's like surrounded, the whole thing where it's like one person in the
Oh, yeah,
middle.
yeah, yeah. I'm an
Okay.
atheist and I'm having
Surrounded by
a
20
conversation
Christians
with
or
Christians. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't seen that now.
there was one recently where like I forgot his name, Mehdi something was on with like a bunch of far rightists, and he pretty much got this guy to say like, "Yeah, I'm a fascist," and he like lost his job apparently. But in my head, I was like, you know what? At least he said it. At least he just said I'm a fascist.
Yeah.
And that's where like I'm actually curious, Lauren, about your perspective on it. I have Danny in our group chat. I think I mentioned I have a friend from high school who said he would come on and talk about religion and politics. And so, Lauren, maybe you'll come back too. But
Mhm.
one thing that's kind of interesting to me about that is like I'm not religious. I don't think because Danny, you're an atheist, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not an atheist, but I'm not like religious. And that being said, I look at the way let's differentiate it. The MAGA people operate. And my understanding of Jesus, it's like that wouldn't be what he wants. And and that's where people talk about Christian nationalism. In my head, it's like that would be leftist as fuck. Like that would be even way to my left. Like a true Christian nationalist government. Like, did you read what Jesus likes? Doesn't like billionaires. Wants them to give their shit away to the poor. Like this is really leftist.
Yeah.
But that aside, you look at some of these policies regarding immigration, and I'm not even like advocating for a position here to be clear,
Mhm.
but when you look at like the MAGA policies on immigration, taxing, all this stuff, and it's like, is any of this actually synonymous with what Jesus spoke? And that's where in my head it's like, are any of these MAGA Christians actually believers? Because if I was a true believer in Christ as my savior, and this isn't a criticism of anyone who believes, like if I was a true believer in Christ as my savior and what he taught me, I would not behave in such a way.
Mhm.
I would be opposed to a lot of this shit. Um, because if I truly believed that when I died, I'm going to be judged by someone who might be a little more powerful than Trump, I would behave accordingly. And I
Mhm.
feel like there's not a lot of that left. Danny, you and I have talked about it. My mom is a pretty conservative woman, but she is what a Christian should be. Like she doesn't give a shit about what you do. She just wants to love you and make sure you're taken care of. Like she's a good woman. But when you see a lot of these Christian nationalists, the way they behave, the way the policies they push, I would prefer if they just said, we're not godly, we are
Mhm.
just selfish and want to take care of our own.
Mhm.
And we don't give a fuck about these other people. I would disagree with it, but at least it's honest. That's what I was getting
Yeah.
to when you're talking about like kind of just saying what you say, like saying what
Mhm.
you are, being honest about it. I would have respect for it because that's honestly what the Republican Party has become under Trump. It's not a Christian party. Granted, I believe in the separation of power of church and state, excuse me,
Mhm.
but like if you're going to claim that be inspired by the teachings of Christ, how are all these atheists on the left acting more like Christ than you are on the hard right?
Because because the Bible says that if you stop praising me, even the stones are going to cry out. Even the stoned are going to cry. I'm just kidding. But even the stones are going to cry out. In other words, like my creation can't help but repeat, but be a reflection of me. And if you're not going to reflect me, then some other part of my creation is, you know. Um, and that's just the question you just asked is so freaking big. It's its own whole podcast.
And we don't have to go into it.
And
Like
I
I
would,
said, my buddy wants to come
but
on, and I'll see if you're available. We have a whole conversation about it. But
yeah,
I just wanted to throw that out there.
ultimately, what I would just say is this: Christianity has a, if you want to count, all the way back to Abraham, but it's got like an over 2,000 year mega history. Um, And a lot of what I would say MAGA, Trump evangelicals ascribe to is a very recent development in the evangelical Christian world, that conflates Reaganomics, John Wayne, post World War II, no, really post World War II, American
Machismo.
exceptionalism. No, American, yeah, machismo, American exceptionalism. That's what we're experiencing the fallout, I think, of that. Like in the moment, of course, there's way more than that. You can go all the way back to the Puritans, very first Christians in the United States. Well, not in the United States, in the New World, were Puritans. Okay, so that's America's Christian history right there. It starts with the Puritans. Goodness. And the British were only too happy to see them go, and they entered their restoration period, all that stuff. So that, I'm trying to like synthesize this down. Ultimately, I think a lot of and this is what I was caught up in when I was like, really like holding on to some of my conservatism for no other reason than I thought I was supposed to. Like I really thought I was supposed to. And ironically, the more I read the Bible and I would read it for myself, I decided I'm just going to read it myself. I don't want anybody to read it for me. I don't want anybody to interpret it for me. So I just started reading it over and over, literally front to back. And every time around, I got a little bit, I started loosening my grip and loosening my grip and loosening my grip on the political ideas I thought I was supposed to hold on to. I thought Jesus wanted me to have, because I was actually reading what the man I claimed to follow was asking of me. And I think what's also happened recently is many American Christians have mistaken. They're very concerned about power and domination. Okay, like that's what they're really concerned about, and they think that they've kind of gone backwards into this idea that the Messiah is a sword wielding, gonna take down the Romans. That's what a lot of people were expecting of Jesus. They were expecting Jesus himself to be a warrior to take down Rome and that sort of thing. And because he wasn't, many didn't really ascribe to him and that sort of thing. And so that's actually what's happening again, is that people need or want this warrior Jesus with this big mean sword to take down all the LGBTQ community. I don't know, like the people that scare them,
Libs.
The libs, whatever it is. I mean, here's the other thing: is ultimately everyone who is an extreme, who's on an extreme, is coming from a place of fear, right? I don't know. I feel like I'm making this answer. This is too big. This is just too big of a conversation.
It's too big. Like I said, we don't have to go too far.
Very big conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. But
we'll have that whole conversation later.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like end it with this. A lot of MAGA Christians are still very, very caught up in Jesus's like behavioralism. Like this is how we're supposed to behave as Christians. Whereas if you actually look at scripture and you look at what's happening and you read it for yourself, it's actually what Jesus was espousing was how you treat each other. That is like the message of the gospel, is how you treat each other is what it is ultimately what determines how well you believe in me, is how you treat each other. That's the biggest thing that God cares about, is how you treat each other. Whereas people have shifted that to be, how do I behave? And how do I make the other person over there behave like that too? Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah.
Again, that's a very
it's a giant question. I'm sorry. You also asked a giant question. It's your fault.
That is my fault. But I said that would be for a different conversation too. And what's kind of interesting to me too, in regards to this whole conversation, I'm not going to directly address what you said, but there's this aspect of education that a lot of these MAGA people say is left leaning, woke, which the whole term woke is a whole other conversation of how a positive word is now being used in a negative way, but whole conversation. I had a conversation with someone recently about leftist indoctrination in our universities. And I forgot, Lauren, remind me, did you ever get a BA?
Yeah.
What'd you get it in?
Liberal studies.
Danny, English, right?
Yep.
So me, theater, all
emphasis in
useless
performing
degrees.
arts.
Great. Huh?
I don't know. I'm using my degree. Sorry.
I'm not using mine.
Touche. English is actually somewhat useful. But so for Lauren and I, useless degrees. But having a degree, I can't speak for Lauren, but having a degree in theater is a pretty liberal degree as far as ideology. Most people in theater and film will be liberal leaning. And it's crazy how in none of my classes during college we ever talked about politics. In anything. General ed, theater, nothing. Never talked about left versus right politics. Never talked about any ideologies that didn't have to do with like a play we were studying if we had to like know context. But somehow other like people who just study economics, it's left leaning DEI woke bullshit. And it's like, is it? And that's where we come back to this idea of like just being educated and being able to critically think is somehow liberal and left leaning. And as I don't think I'm really much. These words get tossed around a lot: left versus right, liberal versus conservative. There's all these different spectrums. But as someone, I do kind of find myself on the center, leaning left or right, depending. I never found that like my education was very indoctrinating, and I don't feel like it was for anyone else. But I just learned how to critical think because I kind of got a minor.
People generally don't know they're being indoctrinated.
Touche. As soon as I said it, I was like, "Fuck you." Yeah.
Yeah. Open your eyes, sheeple.
But the point being, like, just learning how to critical think, because I kind of minored in philosophy, it just made me think a certain way, and all of a sudden, I'm being told I'm a liberal, I'm a leftist, I'm woke. And I do think there is this, especially in the MAGA sphere, this, I don't know if it's fear, maybe it's fear of just the critical thinking, because if you can critical think, you know it's bullshit, and it defeats them. Yes.
I was going to say, I'm glad you did.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Hey, you know what? No, fuck you. Because I forgot, there's a linguist who said it. As long as you understand what I'm saying, then what I'm saying is correct.
Shakespeare. William Shakespeare.
Did Shakespeare say it?
No, I'm just.
No.
We'll go with it. I'll go with it.
Anyway. I'll take that back, Lauren. We can understand Shakespeare. I don't think a 12-year-old kid or anybody who hasn't read Shakespeare will understand what Shakespeare is saying.
Actually, they do. I'll talk about that later. But
another podcast.
Yeah.
All right. All that heavy shit aside, we're gonna end on a positive, fun note. Little segment we like to call it. Oh, don't get me started again. Don't get me started.
Tariffs.
All right. So, a little game we call Ever After. We're gonna. I have a movie in mind. We're gonna talk about how this movie ended, and we're gonna talk about how it realistically would go forward after the movie ends. Have we all seen the movie Grease?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Danny, you first. What do you think happens after Grease ends?
The car falls from the sky. Okay. Danny and Sandy die in a horrible fiery car wreck.
And scene. The magical musical aspect aside, what do you think happens after?
Geez, I think Danny gets a job as a mechanic. I don't think he goes to college. I think Sandy does go to college. Rizzo sure as fuck gets knocked up for sure this time with Kanicki's baby. Kanicki ends up being a deadbeat. I want to say Frenchie continues going to beauty school, opens up her own beauty parlor, and actually turns into a success.
Okay.
Did I miss anybody?
I mean, there's a whole cast.
There's a whole cast, but I'm just going with the big ones.
So technically, Frenchie was in Grease too.
She was.
I forgot. Did she work at the school? Or was she like just held back? I forgot.
I've never even seen Grease 2, you guys.
You're not missing much. You're not missing.
You're missing Michelle Pfeiffer. Very young Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. But I think that's a decent analysis. Lauren, your opinions on what happens to these
Does that
lovely
have to be
people?
real?
After?
It's not. We don't talk about like the flying car thing.
Yeah, no flying
No,
car.
like if that, assuming the car lands
Okay.
and they all stop singing and they move on. Yeah.
I don't know. Danny's was pretty great. Um,
Said no one ever.
Danny's was pretty great. Maybe Danny Zuko goes to trade school. Was there trade schools in the 50s? Yeah, I like the idea of, I don't know.
Apprenticeships, yeah.
Yeah, apprenticeships. I think Sandy, um, I don't know, she changes her whole life at the end.
Does she though, or does she just do her hair and
We'll
change
get to
her
that. We'll get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Sandy at the very, very end. She's like, "Oh, this is stupid. I'm gonna like brush my hair." Um, and yeah, I like the idea of her going to college, possibly to become um what did she like to do? I haven't seen this movie in forever. She was
You, you
like a
don't know.
nurse.
You
don't know what Sandy does.
You don't know what she does?
She
She
got
loves
into
Danny.
cheer.
That's all she does.
She loves Danny. She likes dancing and singing. Sandy
Yeah.
becomes Olivia Newton-John. Let's just
Okay.
She
Okay,
becomes
so she goes
Sandy
on to
becomes Olivia Newton-John.
she goes on to roller skate with Gene Kelly. Okay.
There you go.
And then I do like, yeah, I like Frenchie becoming a big success in town. Um, and her grandchildren do a podcast about her and her rise to fame in the era of when women weren't even allowed to own a business license or take out a business license.
Okay.
And then was it Rizzo and Kaneki? They get really into the beatnik movement. Okay. They get really into the beatnik movement where they're wearing like berets and black turtlenecks, you know. No one hears from them for about like 10 years. And there's like rumors that they're actually dead. But then they show up in the 70s and they are now part of the Jesus movement in California. Okay, so they're like older, you know, they probably they have 3 kids. Okay, 4 actually, 4 kids, and that's who they are. And who's the guy, the girl with the like, oh, it's a cherry. Her last name is like
Marty.
Marty. Marty is she did the stay-at-home mom thing for sure. But she likes it. I think she's actually enjoying it. She loves watching. She's got her soaps that she wants to watch on her TV. She loves baking. That girl is like having a great life. And then who are the dudes? Who are the guys? I don't remember their
Duty.
names. Duty? Oh, fuck you. I don't remember these names. You guys were in this musical.
Sunny, and Putz.
I want to say Duty goes on to become Duty becomes a comedian for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Probably an insult comic.
Or Sunny. Sunny would be an insult comic.
Sunny would be an insult comic. You're absolutely
right. Who's the gal who's like the team spirit gal?
Oh, like the side character?
Yeah, she's a side character.
The cheerleader.
I
forgot her name.
She owns a bar in town. She owns a bar.
Yeah. All
right. Eugene becomes Bill Gates and starts Apple.
Because he looks like him.
Mm-hmm.
On the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Or not Apple.
I think I agree with you guys on Frenchie that she becomes kind of a low key local success. Marty, I would agree with you, Lauren, that she's kind of like the sexy one in high school. She probably marries someone and becomes the stay-at-home mom. I agree with you. As far as the rest of them, I think it's a fucking mess. Danny and Sandy don't last 2 months out of high school as a couple. Yeah, they're done sense. Immediately. That's Romeo and Juliet syndrome. They fell in love in high school. They think this is the only thing. You got to remember, Sandy didn't have any fucking friends at Rydell High.
No.
But now she does. And now she doesn't. She's
like the worst people at Rydell High.
Like the We Go Together sequence where she's like dancing with all the pink ladies and the T-Birds. Like none of them liked her 10 seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sandy hates this fucking school. and she's going to realize it within 2 months of graduating. I did not like that school. Danny, they're going to have like identity issues because he's still this cool guy with cigarettes and okay, I ran some track. What the fuck happened to this Danny? Did you get up?
He
I'm
exploded.
still here. I'm just my light went out.
I was like, what the fuck? Like you just went away. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, that relationship's not lasting more than 2 or 3 months out of high school.
That makes more sense.
There's no way that relationship's lasting. I think Kaneki is a fucking mess. I agree. He's probably one of those trade school guys. Maybe he goes away and finds God. I think Rizzo's the one that gets away as the big success.
Yeah?
Because she went through the rough times. Like I remember this girl who I kind of went out with like in 8th or 9th grade, but like she had the reputation of being like the kind of whorish girl in high school.
Jeez.
And so she went through like that reputation, having it rough, kind of being a little sleuthy, you know. And then leaving high school, because she's not a great friend of mine, but like in high school she was a good friend of mine. And then later on we met up and we chatted, and she pretty much was like, "Fuck everyone in high school." She went and she's a hot lawyer now. When I say hot lawyer, I mean like successful and also just hot. Like she's an attractive, successful lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and part of that when I saw her last was pretty much like her saying "fuck you" to everyone who called her a slut. And I think with Rizzo's energy, she's gonna leave that. Tell Kaneki to kick the fucking curb. Kick to the curb. Sorry, getting my phrases confused. And Rizzo's gonna be the big success out of that school. Danny's gonna be a bum. Kaneki's gonna be a bum. I think the supporting cast, like I agree, Frenchie's probably the local success. The supporting cast will all probably go away and be like suburban guys, like, you know, mild successes and stuff. But Danny and Kaneki are going to live on their high school legacy for the rest of their lives, which means they're going to be fucking bums. Sandy, I think, is going to be over Danny within a few months, and she's actually going to probably go off to college somewhere.
She's going back to Oz for sure.
I think that
she's going back to Oz.
I think that like once she's like in college, she'll realize like just how small-minded she was about Danny.
Yeah. Look. The whole thing, like, oh, she changed her ways for a guy. That aside, like, Danny sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Danny sucks. Like, he
right here, man.
the actual play aside, even though it's similar, like, God, Danny tried to rape her, right. And then was mad that people might talk about it. Okay, maybe he didn't try to rape her. He made a pass at her. She said no. He tried to encourage her to keep going. She said no. He's like, no one's watching. She got mad and left. And he was more upset that people at school might find out. Like, Danny sucks.
This whole movie sucks, you guys. We need to move on.
I know, but I'm saying,
the whole musical sucks. We need to
like,
stop doing it. Just like
Jan,
7 Brides for 7 Brothers, just stop doing it.
Sure. Jan is the one who found the guy. In the actual play, his name's Roger. In the movie, he's Putz. He's the blonde. Granted, it's who? Cha-Cha? Oh, Cha-Cha sucks too. She was clearly 30 years old, going to a school dance.
You know what would actually happen at the end after this movie? Would be like some sort of like CPS lawyer, FBI comes to the school and be like, "Hey, all of these guys singing, they are adults. Get them off campus right now." Like
Rizzo graduated 10 years ago. But no, Putz.
Glory days.
Jan's the one that lucked out with Putz. If you remember the line, he says something like, he's like talking to her, kind of asking her out, and he's like, and I also, there's a lot more to you than fat. And she was like, thank you. And then they went off to eat like her mother's homemade pie. I was like, that's true love. They're making it. The rest of them, not so much.
Yeah. That's I haven't seen this movie in forever. I don't watch
I haven't either. I was just thinking about it the other day.
I avoid this musical so much. I don't do it.
It's a stupid music. It's really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's very stupid.
It's stupid as shit. But it's popular and people dance to it. Go Grease Lightning.
There are so many more musicals to do nowadays, though. Please do other ones. please.
What I do love is that this is like a very common family theater play.
Mm-hmm.
Family.
Yeah. And there's a family version of it because I know it's a separate script when I did it at Mummers.
With Sandra Dee in it, where they make fun of her for being a virgin.
So I think the words change in that song.
Okay.
The words are changed in Grease Lightning when they talk about the pussy wagon. I think the pregnancy story is completely taken out. And that's when you're like, how is this even in a fucking family theater?
Yeah.
If you have to create an entire new script
Yeah.
to put it in a family theater. Anyway, I think what we get out of this podcast is that Danny sucks. He's like Zach Morris.
Yes. Zach Morris is trash.
That should be Danny. We need to produce it. Danny Zuko is trash,
Mm-hmm.
and just run down why this man is
Dude.
a toxic motherfucker.
We'll pull clips and we'll make a show out of it.
Right. He was
Do it.
ready to start fucking as soon as school started. Sandy's out of the picture. I'm ready to fuck. That's not love. That's not love.
And then when
That's
he was
plus.
even describing like their like summer together, he was like making
Woof,
it more
yes.
crass and like nasty. It was like he was never like a decent human.
Well, Lauren, the Manister would say, but at the end of the song, he does have a moment where he's like, well, it's, I told her we'd still be friends. Actually, never mind. That's fucked up too. We spent the summer fucking. We'll still be friends though, right?
Not even fucking.
Sorry. But you know what I'm saying? Like they had this romance, and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna be great friends.
Mhm.
I didn't even think that's all right now. Yeah, Danny sucks.
Danny Zuko is
Grease
trash.
sucks. Can we just like, or Grease is done. Like it's just done having a moment in our culture, please.
We
Sure.
should write the you both would probably know what's the Hamlet side piece. It's something. It's like
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
there you go.
Yeah.
We need
Or
that.
The Lion King.
No,
Or Sons of
Rosencrantz.
Anarchy.
No, we need that. The Rosencrantz and whatever are dead, but with Grease,
Okay.
and it stars Eugene
Mm-hmm.
observing the events.
Okay.
But do we have to have the songs?
No.
New songs. No songs. You're right. No songs.
No. Just Eugene commenting like, "Oh, they're singing and dancing again. What the fuck is going on?"
And it's
Does
an
he sing
iambic
and dance
pentameter.
too? I forget.
Yeah. Is it a one-man show?
No, they come in and sing and dance, and he's sitting there.
But you still have to have the songs in it. No.
But it's quiet. Like you just see them dancing.
Yeah,
he's like,
because
what?
he's not in on the song and dance, so he doesn't know. So he just sees them dancing and like, the fuck?
Eugene,
I like it.
a one act.
God.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
Ugh.
And as we discussed at the beginning, as we wrap this up, we did a dramatic reading of the recent Laura Loomer transcripts that were leaked about her comments
Among other
about
things,
Arby's sandwiches. Arby's. Our friend Corey will enjoy that, and that's why Lauren came on and she joined us for the conversation. And yeah, so we discussed all these cool political fun things, and then we discussed Greece because they're related. Danny, any other thoughts as we go out?
No, I thought that was very fun. I enjoyed the recording. I hope everybody who listens to the podcast enjoys listening to our dramatic read of it. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on. This was a treat.
Let's say yeah.
Thank
And Lauren,
you.
when I talked to my buddy and we set up Danny, I hope obviously you come too. We'll have the religion and politics conversation, and I'll definitely see if you're available and we'll do it.
Sweet. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. Miss you guys.
Absolutely. You too. You too.
Likewise.
And Lauren said she'll be coming to our wing competition this year, and I'm sure we'll do a show reflecting on the winners and losers and all that.
Danny, my kid will be with me, so you will probably be asked to play again.
You know what? Fine. No,
He
I'm
liked
enjoying
both of you
the
though.
gig.
He liked both of you. He like connected with both of you really well. It was just my
Did he connect
kid.
with me?
Yeah, he smiled at you and he gave you like
He smiled.
Oh.
He smiled from a distance.
That's all it
no,
takes.
trust me,
Then perfect.
that's a big deal. But you were also busy. You had to like do stuff, you know. Danny
Yeah.
was, you know, could run around and play and all that stuff. So mhm.
He was named after me. Oh, my dogs are barking.
Yeah.
All right.
He wasn't named after my dad at all.
No, he's named after me first. Your dad. Give me a break, Lauren. Okay. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening to those who did, and then we'll go off with the our dramatic readings of the Laura Loomer transcripts. Have a good one, everybody.
Did you give that interview, Mrs. Loomer?
Yeah.
Great. And that accurately reflects what you said.
Yeah.
It speaks for itself.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, when I say dating, like dating that can construe a lot of things. Like going out to dinner with someone. I mean, like I'm very clear. Like I don't date a lot, and I'm in a very committed relationship throughout my early 20s. I just turned 32, and I have not had many boyfriends. And the reality is I am a very career-centered woman. 32. My main focus isn't getting married and having kids. Like I care more about my work than I do about having a romantic partner. And I waited to find somebody who would accept the fact that I want to be very successful. And
Just for the record, my only question was
no, I
that
know, but
did you give that interview?
I did give the interview, but I'm explaining that
Okay, that's great. So then my question is, what was the reason?
Don't interrupt her.
What was the reason?
Don't interrupt her.
Name the individual who you referenced. Exhibit 30, please.
She was upset. She was jealous.
Exhibit 30 is your response to her. Can you read that out loud to me?
Hey, Marjorie, remember when you destroyed your family so that you could have sex with a Zangief cosplayer? Tell me again how you and the Arby's in your pants. Yeah, that was widely reported. I mean, that's why she got divorced. And that divorce records is
No. Read the tweet.
Our representatives of the GOP. You can't even run your own family. Don't tell me how to run my free speech.
Okay, so when you
But you're not showing the screenshot. It's like intentionally blurred out. I don't know why you blurred it out, but it showed a document where somebody who she had an affair with showed a text message of her having an affair, and it was well documented. It was in the text messages. And it's the reason why she ended up getting divorced from her husband, Perry, who I know. Because at the time during my campaign, they were married and they came to my event. And it's well known. And she's even admitted to it that they got divorced because of her marital infidelity. So
right. Can you explain to me what it means when you say
I don't understand why you blurred it out. It's blurred out.
Can you explain, please?
Objection, relevancy.
Can you explain to me what it means to say to her that the Arby's in her pants?
Well, Arby's.
Objection, relevancy.
Answer the question.
Arby's sells roast beef.
Right. Can you tell me why you were talking about the Arby's in her pants?
It's just an expression.
What is the expression you're trying to convey?
It conveys the reason why she got a divorce by her own admission.
Because she had roast beef in her pants.
Yeah.
She put roast beef in her pants. That's what you're trying to say there. You're saying she put Arby's in her pants.
I'm saying she literally, it's so ridiculous. I am saying she literally put Arby's in her pants. Yes.
Objection, relevancy.
You're not making a slur about her.
No.
You're literally saying she put Arby's sandwiches in her pants. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Why are you laughing?
Because I think it's so funny.
What is your basis for saying she put Arby's in her pants?
I just think it's so funny. I think it's so.
What is your basis for saying she put Arby's in her pants?
She carries roast beef in her pockets.
What is your basis for saying she puts roast beef in her pockets and in her pants?
Objection, relevancy, harassment.
Because I know she likes roast beef.
So what is your basis for saying she had Arby's in her pants?
Because I know she likes to eat at Arby's.
And she likes to put it in her pants. You know that.
Yeah.
She puts Arby's in her pants.
Yeah, she does.
Okay, if I ask Marjorie Taylor Greene, she would tell me that she puts Arby's in her pants.
It's my best it's my best belief that she would tell you that. Yes.
Okay, are you making a derogatory comment about her sex life by talking about Arby's in her pants?
No, I'm talking about Arby's, the sandwiches. I'm talking about Arby's. I'm a very direct person. If I was making a derogatory comment, I would have said it. I just think it's so funny. I feel like you would understand it if you actually hadn't blurred the photo, but it's blurred.
We didn't blur a photo. There may have been some kind of copy editor, but we'll get to a better copy of it, if that's all right. But Miss First Amendment Warrior won't admit it.
Yeah, well, you know what?
You won't admit it.
You're an officer of the court, and you behaving
I'm not going to.
Coward.
in an unethical fashion by badgering her
Cowards.
when something has nothing to do with this case.
Not a coward.
Coward.
Not a coward. It's politically motivated.
What exhibit are we at?
35. If you'd like to deal more with Arby's,
No, I have a couple more questions I'd like to ask in this line.
where's the meat?
So Lindsey Graham also said
It's
that
in her pants.
Lindsey Graham also called you toxic around the time that you were at the debate. And
Yeah.
to quote him,
Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
That's true.
okay, and you responded to him on Twitter, right?
Yeah. I called him gay.
Okay, can you might mark this as exhibit?
It was well known.
Can we mark this as exhibit? Where are we at?
31.
Several of President Trump's staff have told me in confidence that Lindsey Graham is gay.
Hold on, Miss Slumer. There's no question.
I know. I'm just explaining.
Objection, relevancy.
Recording. Stop. Stop recording. There we go.